Do you wake up every day dreading have to figure out what to cook for supper? Or 4 p.m. comes every single day and you still don't know what you're making for supper. You end up either getting takeout or cooking some kind of processed food that you know is not the best, that you shouldn't be making, but it's the only option you have at that point. Does preparing meals and feeding your family nutritious food cause you so much extra anxiety and stress? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then this video is for you. Now, I know it sounds super dramatic, but if any of those scenarios sound familiar, meal planning will change your life. I know that's a bold statement, but hear me out on it, because I was you like a year ago. I every day stressed about what I was going to make for supper. I wanted to make this recipe, but I didn't have the meat thawed because it wasn't planned ahead. The old saying, failing to plan is planning to fail, in this instance is probably 90% true, because you have to have a plan in order to prepare for it. You can't decide what you're going to cook at 5:30 and have food on the table at 6 o'clock if you don't have it planned. So stick with me. I'm going to give you my 5 tips for successful meal planning, kind of mixed in throughout this. And one thing I love about this method of meal planning, it's super, super easy. And it's really simple. For me to keep up with something, it has to be super easy and super simple. And this is really all you need is a calendar, like a planner type calendar. This is a cheap $15 planner from Walmart. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It doesn't have to be anything expensive. I like this one because of the way it's laid out horizontally each day. And so I have all my different sections of categories that I need to do, and I can just write on each day. I'll link this one in the description below if you like this layout. I've done the other type of calendar before, and for whatever reason, the way my brain thinks, this just works really well. So let's jump right in and I'll show you how to do it. It really doesn't get easier than this. So you're going to need your calendar, maybe some extra paper to write on, and obviously something to write with. So what I do, we'll just start with this week. Today is, what is today? I think it's Wednesday the 13th. So I'm going to start here, and then I'll schedule out, the next few weeks. I like doing a month at a time, and then I do a monthly grocery shopping trip. I feel like, well, not that I feel like, I know this saves us money, because I'm not making, every 2 or 3 days or every week a shopping trip where I'm buying extra things that I don't need. I'm impulse buying, or Lord forbid you go to the grocery store when you're hungry. Don't ever go to the grocery store when you're hungry. But I'm not going in buying extra stuff, because I'm doing it once a month. I'm getting everything I need for the whole week. Every once in a while, I'll get to a recipe and figure out that I forgot something, and Eric usually will stop on his way home from work and grab that, which I don't like sending him to the store, because he does buy extra stuff that I wouldn't buy, but it works. It works if we have to do it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is sit down and list out all of the meals that either you know how to make, your family likes eating. I would recommend trying to do 95% of the meals on that list, things that everyone in your household will eat, because there's nothing worse than cooking food and sitting down at the table and people saying, I don't like that. It's just not fun. So list out your meals. I actually have mine written in my calendar here. At the end of each month, it has like a note section. So I just took one of these sections and listed out a whole big old list of things that are easy, that we like, that our family eats. So this could be more challenging if you are brand new to cooking from scratch, or if you just got married and you don't really have like this repertoire of food that y'all like to eat. But just list out the things that you can make, whether it's 10, 15, it doesn't have to start out being like 60 different meals. Just list out the things that you can make, that you know how to cook, that your family will eat, and start from there. You can always add to this list. It's not like a once and done. You can come back and easily add to it. So speaking of that, I will at the end of the video, if that is you, if you're like new to cooking from scratch, or just married and just don't even have like a set list of things that you cook that your family likes, at the end of the video, I will give 10 meals Super easy meals. Anybody can make them and pretty well liked. Like in our house, everybody will eat them, and we have some picky eaters. So stick through to the end. I will give that list of 10 foods once we're finished with all this meal plan and stuff. So I have my list of foods that I can make, and then I will go over to my calendar. Super easy. I do like to draw a line. Like I have this first section as my meal plan. I will draw a line here halfway because I don't need all that whole square for what I'm going to cook. So I'll draw a line here, draw my line for Saturday and Sunday, and then I'll write down what I'm going to cook. Look, I just skipped a week. Let me go back. We'll start with today is Wednesday, and we're actually having leftovers today, and so I will write leftovers. So that is one of my tips, is to schedule a leftover day. You don't have to have 30 meals for a month. I mean, you may if you don't cook this way, but I like to make bigger batches. I try to make enough to have a lunch for Eric for the next day, and also lunches for us or another supper. So I plan in leftover days. Every 3 days, 4 days, something like that, we'll usually have a leftover day where we eat any leftovers that are in the refrigerator. Sometimes I don't even do that though. That's the whole flexibility. Sometimes I'll have like 4 meals planned. I might make a big pot of soup. The next day gets here and I might have, baked chicken on the menu, but we got a whole pot of leftover soup and I get caught up doing something, so I'll scratch that baked chicken off, add it somewhere else, and we'll have leftovers that day. So it's real flexible. You don't have to be like rigid, this is what's on the menu today and that's what we're having. You can be flexible with it. So I'm just going to go ahead and write out some things and show you kind of how I would do it. So leftovers today. Another thing, this is kind of another tip. If you have meat in your freezer, like for instance, we raise our own beef. We just last week picked up 500 pounds of beef. So I inventoried all of it when we put it in the freezer. I know how many how many steaks we have, how many roasts we have, how much ground meat we have, and I sat down and figured out how much we should eat in a week to work through all of it evenly. Because what normally happens is we eat all of our ground meat, we'll be out of ground meat for like months, but we'll have bags still of roast and steaks. So I sat down and I figured up how many, like we can eat steaks every 2 weeks, we can eat roast every 2.5 weeks. I have it written down here. So I wrote that down. Those are the kind of things I will go in and write ahead of time, so I make sure I get those scheduled out. And also another tip, this is tip 3, I actually skipped one, I'll go back to that. But tip 3, if you have any days that are particularly hectic or busy, you're going to be gone and coming home at supper time and you need something, schedule those days ahead of time. Like for instance, if you have Thursday night activities, go through your list, and if there are any meals that can be made in the crock pot, schedule those out on your Thursdays first so you don't accidentally use those super easy meals on a day where you'll be home and you could do something more involved. So one of mine, I'm going to switch over here to my page where I wrote my meat stuff down. Let's see. And I'm going to schedule these things in there while I'm going so that I don't forget. So steaks, we can have steaks every 2 weeks. That's between ribeyes, T-bones, and sirloins. So I'm going to write those in. Typically we'll do them on Friday nights. That's kind of what Eric prefers to do. So I'm going to do a month. That's typically what I do. The other thing about doing it for a month is with that whole like decision fatigue, that way I only have to sit down and do it one time and it's done for the whole entire month. I don't have to sit down every week and think about it. It's already done. So I got steaks on this Friday, which is the 15th, and then I'm going to skip that one. I think I already wrote steaks for this one. Let's see here. And then we'll be into December. So I'm going to put, did I skip that last one? So that one had steaks, so then I'm going to go to the next one. I'm going to write steaks on this one. Okay, so I got that written down. And then cube steak every 2.5 weeks. So just those are the kind of things you can think about. If you raise your own chickens, make sure you write that in there. But we'll just go back to our list. and I will look at the list and kind of just write things in. So far, I have Wednesday, that's today, leftovers. Tomorrow, I'm going to do 15 bean soup. So I will soak the beans for that overnight tonight. Friday's going to be steaks. Saturday, I'm going to do rice and gravy with some round steak. Sunday, we're going to have leftovers. And for days that, like, if I have leftovers planned on the calendar and I don't actually have leftovers when that day gets here, I would probably do something easy like breakfast, like pancakes and eggs or bacon and pancakes. We really like having breakfast for supper sometimes, and it's really easy for one of those days where you're like, oh no, my plan didn't work out and I need something to cook last minute. I do things like breakfast for supper. One thing I really like to do for that, which you do have to plan for it so you can get the ingredients, is like cheesy fries. Everyone in my house loves cheesy fries with ranch dressing, homemade ranch dressing. I'll put the recipe link in the description below. It is so good. You won't go back to buying ranch from the grocery store if you start making it yourself. I promise. It's so delicious. So that is a week and a half done so far. And look, here's the thing. You don't have to eat a different thing every single day of the week. You can repeat your meals, especially if it's something that your family likes. Like, if your family especially loves tacos, do like a themed night every week. Do a Taco Tuesday. That's where Taco Tuesday came from. And you don't even have to do just tacos. You could do tacos one Tuesday. You could do taco soup another Tuesday. You could do taco salad another Tuesday. You could do burritos, burrito bowls. You could change it up within the same kind of theme. But don't be afraid to repeat your meals, especially if it's something that your family really likes. So you can see, if you have a list of meals to work from, how quickly it can go. So I'm already into December now. And actually, a couple of these nights I wasn't even paying attention, are Thanksgiving, which conveniently was a leftover night. So we probably will not be eating here on Thursday. So that works fine. Okay, now we're on to December. So I mentioned it with tacos, and tip number one that I skipped was actually, if you have a meal that your family exceptionally likes and eats really well, do like a themed night every week. Like, Taco Tuesday. People do Meatless Monday. Do, Pasta Tuesday, Pasta Wednesday, whatever it might be. Soup Friday. Like, if your family has something they really, really, really like and they will eat it every single week and not get tired of it, or every other week, do that. Like, do a themed meal. That's just another way you already know what you're going to make. Just relieve some more of that mental stress. So to recap so far what we have, tip number one is to do maybe a themed meal each week. It helps relieve some of the fatigue of deciding what to do. Taco Tuesday, Soup Friday, Meatless Monday, you get the idea. Tip number two is plan in leftover days to use up your leftovers. It will minimize your food waste, and it'll also give you a little break so you don't have to cook every single day, which is amazing. Tip number three is strategically plan your really easy crock pot meals, your done ahead meals for really hectic, busy days. Okay, and tip number four, so we've gotten about, 3.5, 4 weeks of meals planned up right here. So tip number four is, at the beginning of the week, look at your plan for the week and take out, if you have meat in the freezer, which you will if you do it for a month like I do, because you're going to go to the grocery store, you're going to get all of your ingredients for all of these meals, and whatever meat you come home with, you're going to have to put it in the freezer because it's not going to stay good in the fridge for a month. So at the beginning of the week, you're going to look at your meal plan and take out whatever meat you will need at the beginning of the week. Put it in the fridge. It'll be thawed. That way you won't wake up and be like, oh no, we're having roast tonight, but the roast is still frozen. You can't cook a roast for that night when it's frozen solid. So once you get all of your meals planned out, I kind of usually have a general idea of the ingredients I have. I mean, I'm in the pantry, I'm in the fridge, I'm in the kitchen every single day, all day long, so you get an idea of what you have. But definitely go kind of like, if you're not sure, do a quick inventory before I do go grocery shopping or something. I will definitely, I'm not sure if I still have this, I'll go look and see when I'm making my list. Another thing I would recommend, which I know it's not everybody's thing, but I do grocery pickup, and it's another thing that I really feel like has saved me money, because I'm not in the store seeing things like, oh, that looks good, I'm gonna get that, oh, I should get that. Impulse buys. You would be shocked how much money you spend on impulse buys. So I really love doing grocery pickup. It's super easy. I don't have to haul the kids in the store because they like doing impulse buys too, and save money. So I will go through all of my things. I'll just have my piece of paper here, and I will say, okay, for 15 bean soup, I already have the beans. I'm gonna need sausage. Do I have onions and peppers? Do I have garlic? Like, I'll just kind of mentally check the things I have and the things I'm gonna need, and I'll write that down on my list. For steaks, I already have the steaks in the fridge, and I will, if you really need to, like, you can write down what vegetable you're gonna cook with it. Or if you just kind of, like, I don't really write down vegetables usually. I just kind of mentally know how many we'll eat in a month, and I will get those at the grocery store. But it definitely, at the beginning, I did write, like, I would write steaks. Okay, we're gonna have green beans with our steaks, so I would need 1 thing of green beans. Rice and gravy and round steak, we're gonna have, whatever, corn with that. Okay, then we'll have leftovers. So go through your list, and if you don't have green beans, write down green beans. And then if, this week you're gonna have green beans with your meatloaf, do 2 green beans, and so on and so forth. So you make sure you get enough for all your meals. But that's what I'll do. Like, if I'll go through my list, and I'll write down everything that I don't already have onto my grocery shopping list. Do the whole week for that. The whole month. I'll do the whole month for that. So I'll go through all of my meals that I just planned, and I will write down the ingredients for all of them. And then I go over and do a grocery pickup order. Tip number 5 is, don't be afraid to be flexible with it. Like, you don't have to be super rigid. I'm not super rigid with this. If I get to a day and, like before when I wasn't taking the meat out, I might get to the day and figure out, oh no, I don't have my steaks marinated, or I don't have my roast thawed out, or like, golly, I have a ton of leftovers in the refrigerator. I would just, let's say it's rice and gravy, I'll scratch it out and I'll add it to another day. Like, I might go add it to the end, or maybe we had something twice, and so I'll scratch that one out and add that. As long as you use up each of those meals that you have the ingredients for, you can easily add it on to the end, to where that's one less day you have to plan at the end. So, because you have the ingredients for it, so you should use it up. I hope all that makes sense. I hope it's helpful. It really, seriously, because you get up and you look at your calendar and you go, oh, I'm making 15 bean soup today. It's so easy. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to worry about it. And sometimes it is hard, because you might be like, I just really don't feel like eating that today. But you have to get to a point where you make it anyway, because it's on your calendar. And it works. And once you have it in the pot and you're smelling it and you're cooking it, it's going to taste good, because you know it's something you like. Don't put it on your calendar if it's not something you like, So, my 10 meals that I would recommend to someone if you don't have your own, repertoire of meals that you cook. 10 really easy meals that anyone can make is, here we go. So, tacos. I like tacos, can you tell? Spaghetti. Spaghetti is one of our go-tos. Like, everyone eats spaghetti, and they love spaghetti night. Cheesy fries with ranch, like I mentioned before. They're so good. Our favorite is waffle fries. They, the cheese melts down into them, and they hold on to it. So get you some waffle fries, bake them on a pan, grate up some cheese on top of them, cook some crispy bacon, crumble it up on there. Get some green onions, put them on there after it's baked. It is so good. Go check out that recipe for homemade ranch. I'll link it down below. And y'all, seriously, try some cheesy fries. They are better than restaurant, and everyone loves them. They're cheaper than restaurant, and you get to eat the whole pan. Okay? So, spaghetti, tacos, cheesy fries, chili. Chili is so easy to make. Breakfast for supper, bacon and pancakes, eggs and pancakes, bacon and biscuits. We do all kind of variations of breakfast for supper. Sausage and kale soup. Really, really easy. My kids don't like the kale, so I just pick around it and I don't give them the kale. It's really, really easy. Don't chop your kale up super tiny. Taco soup. Any soup really is, you dump the ingredients in a pot and you cook it. It's easy. It doesn't get much easier than that. Chicken Caesar salad. Make some chicken, Parmesan cheese, croutons, lettuce. Bam, chicken Caesar salad. Roast in a crock pot. Roast in a crock pot is so easy to make. Put your roast in a crock pot, throw some seasonings on there. I like doing onion powder, garlic powder, Tony's, some water, and then even after you finish cooking it, you can take that juice that's in there and add like a little bit of cornstarch or some thickening, some kind of thickening agent, and make it be kind of like an au jus. It is so good. All right, and number 10, lemon garlic fish is one of our favorite things to do. I mentioned the bass earlier. That's how we cook the bass. Put you some butter in a pan, lemon juice. I don't measure. It's so forgiving, you don't even have to measure. Dump some lemon juice in there, dump some garlic in there, a little bit of salt and pepper, bake the fish in the oven until it's done. It is so good. Cook mashed potatoes to go with it and put that juice on top of your mashed potatoes. There will be no leftovers, I can guarantee you. So I hope this was helpful. If you want to look at some of those other recipes, I have some recipes for like some condiments, honey mustard dressing, the ranch dressing, again, is so good. I'll link a recipe playlist in the cards, and also have some descriptions for some links for those things down in the description below. Getting all tongue-tied. Thanks for joining today. If you found this helpful, please give it a like. If you don't mind, subscribe. We love having you around here, and I really hope that this helped you out. Thanks, y'all. Bye.